shit. Here we go again.
It's the Catican, baby!
So is it a boy or girl?
Who cares? The Catican is on.
Good evening. I'm Freelando, and this is the evening news for Monday, March 4th, 1985. Our first story tonight is simple, and it's bleak. Doom. We're cooked. Kentucky lost again, and I don't know how I'm going to look my kids in the eye.
Hey, big head.
You're back?
Yeah, Kentucky lost again.
So you're not leaving again?
Ask me again after the North Carolina game.
Here we have the Catican. I'm not sure the kids here should be watching that show.
It's a little spicy for a Saturday morning cartoon, yeah.
You see him getting the people worked up over BG? You can't win in that scenario.
Controversial, but a great show.
Great show, though. People should like and subscribe.
Sometimes all it takes is a scent to bring it all rushing back. With memories scratch and sniff, the good times are only a scratch away.
Aw, Ben, tell me about Ken Palm.
Bring back the memories, one sniff at a time.
I thought this was a mascot party.
You're watching The Catican. No yits, ands, or buts.
It's the Catican, baby.
It's the Catican. This is a bummer. Kentucky loses 83-66 in the Champions Classic. Vibes have maybe never been lower. Fellas, how we feeling?
Bad.
Not great. Definitely not fun to have two real tests that count and to have lost both of them. Miles of room for improvement.
I feel like this has to be, it better be rock bottom because I can't handle anything lower than this. I'm not giving up yet, but Ray Allen, I'm getting there.
It feels like if there was ever going to be a come to Jesus moment for this team, it would have been last night. And that's a little early in the season to be having your come to Jesus moment. But, what's bad is it's one thing to lose. And the thing is, with the Louisville game, it wasn't even like the Michigan State game. The Michigan State game was disheartening because they phoned it in. Like, they got behind in the second half, and we were just getting outplayed. And it just seems like guys weren't trying. And we can forgive losing. We can't forgive entitlement, is what it seems like on the team.
Yeah, it's tough. At some point, I think we had it down to 10 and felt like we were going to fight back, kind of like we did a couple times in the Louisville game. And then a couple substitutions later, it's just out of reach again, and we never really got close.
I kept thinking in the first half, like, okay, they're bad right now, but they'll settle down and figure it out, before the under 10-minute mark. And then it was like 5 minutes left in the game, and it was the same story the entire way through. Just no changes. If anything, things got worse as the game progressed, which is so disheartening.
There isn't even much to take away from it of a bright spot. In the Louisville game, at least you could be like, hey, Cam, was putting it on there for a second. This one was just, nope, everyone kind of stunk, even Pope. And I mean, we are called the Catican. We are Pope guys. But that one was like, oh no, Pope got coached out of the gym. I guess, I mean, it's Tom Izzo, but still, like, these two teams are not supposed to be on the same level talent-wise. And I don't think that Izzo is as much better X's and O's wise against Mark Pope than what our talent is to that team. So it's just, it's hard to defend.
It is hard to defend. That's part of the problem with this team.
Which player said that?
Yeah.
Well, one of my things is I know last year, I'd actually like to compare this to last year. But last year, a lot of people were very critical of the substitution pattern, since it would either feel like right as someone finally starts to get into a flow, they get pulled, or we were just making so many changes so quickly that nobody ever got into a rhythm. And it seems very much like early, when the sample size is small enough that I can go on CBB Analytics and look at stats for all neutral games, being just this one. When you look at the lineups we had, one played 8 minutes together, away Aberdeen, Chandler, Diabate, and Garrison. One 6 minutes, one 5 minutes, one 3 minutes, and no one else played together for more than 2 minutes at a time. We have 2 pages. Let's see. All right. So we have 18 unique lineups we have. It's just insane. When sorted by minutes played together, you have 8, 6, 5, 3, and then nobody else more than 2. That's, I can see why it would be really difficult to get into like a good offensive rhythm when that is the way you're substituting.
Was it that varied last year with the lineup changes?
That's what I'm saying. I don't know, and it's only so easy to look at this right now because I can look at a single game sample. I'll have to go back last year and see. But even if it was like that last year, and this is so odd because it felt like coming into this season, we had all this depth. We had so many different plug-and-play guys. Rupture No Good even made that graphic showing all of the different positions that each of these guys can play.
Ben, could you your audio is a little bit scuffy. Sorry, usually we sort this out in our pre-stream chats. I don't know if you want to do the whole. Yeah. So Raph, going back to that, I feel like with what Ben was saying, that for last year the meme was we're collecting data. It feels like with the smaller rotation times, like if it's only 2 minutes, it doesn't even feel like that's enough good of a sample size to collect any data. Do we have too many guys?
We're playing too many right now for sure. There's definitely guys right now that don't need the minutes they're getting. Haven't earned the minutes they're getting, I should say.
You want to name names?
Yes. Brandon Garrison, Trent Noah, Modi should get fewer minutes. Otega needs to get acquainted with the bench a little bit. Colin Chandler, 40 plus minutes a game, I think would be fine with me.
I do more or less agree. I feel like when JQ gets back, maybe this is Cope, you know what I mean? Maybe I'm Mr. Sunshine Popper. I feel like when JQ gets back, that could be kind of a game changer with it. I was watching the field of 68 guys, and they obviously were. Everybody tends to be, especially in sports, prisoners of the moment. So they're kind of like, oh, is Kentucky like the most disappointing team? 5 games in, sure. But they were saying stuff like at least Michigan State has a guy that they can just throw it down too low and, they can get a bucket. It feels like JQ, I don't know offensively, but certainly defensively, he can clean up a lot of this. Like he can change, at least defensively on the team, like at the snap of a fingers, like guys have to account for him now. I'd like to see that. I feel like maybe that's a little bit of coping, but I'm grasping at straws here because that was an embarrassing one last night.
I think importantly, JQ can bring minutes that prevent the sequence last night where the guy shot over BG who didn't go up for the board. The guy got his own offensive rebound, put it up over BG again, who just kind of watched it hit the ground. The guy got it again and scored. That's where I think JQ will help. I feel like he just will vacuum up some of those boards and not give the guy 3. If you're down 10, you can't afford to give a guy 3 looks at it from 2 feet.
We were getting clowned on. That was an all-time embarrassing moment. That might be the most embarrassing moment of the Pope era. It's tough.
The Taylor Swift postgame comment, it's 1A, 1B there.
Here's my thing is that I'm trying to defend the guy. If I wasn't number one on the bandwagon, I was certainly one of the first 10 people on it. The way he's handling it in the post-game press conferences is throwing gasoline on the fire, because now people are like, what's wrong with Pope? Is that what's wrong with the team? Stop giving people narratives. There's got to be a line between the way Pope is acting like he wants to set himself on fire after every loss, and the way Calipari would say like, whatever, I don't really care about it. There has to be something in between here.
To push back a little bit, I think what some people want is they want an angry, like, fist on the table coach. And some people just aren't like that. Like, if he was to go out there and do that, I think it would come off kind of inauthentic. I mean, I know that he is capable of getting there. By all accounts, he did that in the Ole Miss locker room last year, bloody hand, whatever. Like, so I think that's in there. But I think if it's just for the sake of coming out and looking the part for a post-game conference when you're supposed to be mad, if that isn't how you would realistically present yourself at that point, it doesn't do any good to pretend to be pounding the table, because that comes off even worse, I think.
Fake toughness that people are using to describe our defense would also apply to Pope in that scenario. If he was just like was a hardo yelling like Hurley.
That's just not his style, and it doesn't mean that he's accepting it. It doesn't mean that he's not pissed off. It's just some people just don't get publicly big man mad.
I think people are overreacting in general to his post-game stuff. That's like, and Ortega's, the eye roll. I think it's people are saying what they want to see. Not that big of a deal. The Taylor Swift thing was just lame. But like all the reaction to Pope's comments last night, Ortega's reaction, all that, I think is so overblown. And just like one of you said, don't give them a chance to start a narrative. If you give Kentucky fans an inch, they're going to blow out an entire mile on any sort of narrative. So I wonder if we'll get like more low-key, less fun, less eventful post-game interviews now in response.
I wouldn't mind it.
I miss not having to care.
Yeah.
I do think it's odd that people have taken the narrative of post Louisville, I'm not ready to tell the story yet. And I know that Kentucky fans are going to read into it whatever they want, but it's insane to hear that and think, man, I bet one player slept with another player's girlfriend. I bet that's the story that he is willing to tell at some point, but not today. I bet that is, I mean.
Yeah, how many weeks do you have to wait?
Telling that story. Didn't the story like already kind of leak out where we were just jawing with the Louisville student section?
That's the best explanation I've heard. I've seen nothing concrete other than that.
What do you think? Peanut Butter Posse's kind of talk about it on in the chat. Anybody pick up on Mo shoulder bumping Ortega like he was the opponent, and it said, or Aberdeen side-eyeing Owe. There was also the reports of the players barking at each other on the bench. In my head, I do think they're literally barking at each other like they're Georgia.
Oh yeah, it's like straight Georgia commercial.
Yeah, like I Show Speed. Like that's what the kids are watching now. He barks.
Sure.
No, it does seem like the team might not be getting along, which is this is something that we weren't supposed to have to worry about because Mark Pope was our coach and he was Mr. Happy, friendly, like give you a hug, I love you guy.
I do think to some extent that last year such a big deal was made about how quickly the team came together, and they did. I mean, vibes seemed great from the get-go. But I wonder how much of that was them all kind of knowing it needed to be manufactured in that way. Like there was a lot of hype, not just about being at Kentucky, but about being Pope's first class year that he put together with 2 weeks. And I mean, not just an emphasis on the staff to make it happen, but an emphasis on the players themselves. Whereas this year we thought it'd kind of go more naturally because there were so many returning, and when it didn't just happen, they didn't also have the, oh, but we're new, we need to do this together to fall back on.
Last year's team, they said it so often that it kind of almost became annoying in the moment where Pope kept saying gratitude over and over again. But the thing is that each one of those guys, you have a player like Kobe Brea, who every single blue blood in the transfer portal was going after him. and he went to Kentucky, and he never carried himself like the guys are carrying themselves this year. He wasn't like being, I don't know, seeming like he was like a jerk. I want to say a worse word, but I'll say jerk. And he could have, but all those guys seem genuinely amped to be at Kentucky, and I'm just not getting that vibe so far right now, which I think is just kind of adding on to the losing. Like, I don't even think that I'm just viewing it that way because they're losing games. There's just kind of a weird vibe around the team that I think fixing could help. But
I feel like not having a Lamont Butler or maybe Jackson, like a person who's been through college 4 years, has won, knows how to lead. There's not a real vocal leader on the roster as far as I can tell. I guess hypothetically it'd be Ortega, but he's struggling, and that, it's just not working right now. So I feel like a lot of the locker room issues might be that.
I think that Jackson was kind of thrust into that role last year and didn't want it. I think he kind of wanted to lead by example, and he did that for as long as he could until he got pissed off and started cussing at people at halftime, and that kind of made him be that vocal leader. And obviously we had Lamont too, and a lot of other senior. I mean, I think about their huddles. You got Andrew Carr's arms around everybody. I mean, there was a lot of that. I think Ortega is another kind of silent leader, lead by example. That's where he's more comfortable. His interviews, he's kind of soft-spoken. I mean, he's a big, strong guy, but he's not really an in-your-face kind of guy. And so I wonder if we're kind of lacking, like you said, a vocal leader to help kind of pull some of this together.
I was thinking the other day, if this year's team had any of one piece of last year's team, just one of those guys to add to this year's roster, how differently this team would look. And of course, you can play Fantasyland, whenever. It is making me appreciate last year's team more.
That's an interesting question, because it's, who do you take? Do you take Lamont because we want a better point guard? Do you take Amari because he was dominant and would also fill a big hole at center here? Do you take Carr as a leader who also added some at the 4 that we don't? I mean, like, they're
Jackson.
We talk a lot of
any of the guys.
Kobe
really.
For space.
Yeah, the shooters, right? Like, it's interesting to see how.
Sorry, go ahead.
Just interesting to see how many of those guys would have been just awesome to have back.
I was going to say getting last year BG or last year Ortega on this year's team would be an improvement. That'd be a nice bonus, but I'm probably picking Lamont at the end of the day.
Lando saying, no, you don't take Carr. That one got me. That's probably fair.
I think analytically, I mean, he may not be the number 1 pick there, but I think analytically Carr was much better than he's given credit for.
Definitely.
If you looked at how the team played from a strict numbers plus minus perspective with him on the court, it is so much higher than you'd expect.
So how do we? Sorry, wife's getting me water. Thank you. So what's the outlook on the rest of the non-con, you guys think? Do we beat Indiana?
The way people are talking today, the question isn't do we beat Indiana and Gonzaga, it's do we beat Loyola and Tennessee Tech.
And that's idiotic.
And I think that's a ridiculous overreaction. I think that we do have a couple games that are real easy. One of my criticisms is use those games for your data collection. Like, I get mad enough that we're playing bad teams, but use the games against bad teams if you want to play around with the lineup some. And maybe you have to do some of that testing in a real game to see how they play against high major competition. That's important. Definitely important to square away before conference play. But don't be trying stuff for the first time necessarily against Louisville and Michigan State.
There's both, a good and a bad to this stretch of playing not good teams where like the team can figure some things out. It's not going to help the fan base at all until we beat a marquee name. So really the losers in this scenario is us for having to hear from people who are constantly still down on the team after a win. But hey, that's the cross we have to bear here at the Catican. North Carolina's, I was just, writing that down as a W because of how, both of those programs were viewed coming into this year. But Caleb Wilson's a dude, and we'll see how it goes. I don't know. I'm still expecting a win because we are Kentucky.
Who matches up defensively against Caleb?
Modi.
Modi. Okay, I'll take Modi.
Yeah. That. I actually see. This is the sunshine pumper in me because I'm just like, body him up, Modi.
His physicality should work well against Caleb's like slender college freshman frame. I'm buying back in slowly but surely.
Also, Caleb Wilson being awesome this year, I didn't see that coming because I watched, like, it's not even like I even watched just his highlights. Like, Ben and I went and saw him in person. He seemed fine. I didn't see this coming of him coming in and just setting the college world on fire. Probably not that much, but he was playing very, very well. He's much better than I thought he was. And I don't know. People are like, we could have got him, but I don't think when he committed in North Carolina, people thought that he was going to be doing what he's doing right now.
I think people thought he'd be good. I know that the rankings are kind of colored more by NBA ceiling potential, 3 to 5 year potential than immediate effectiveness. But he was always ranked very high in the class. He was always pretty good. I mean, in all of the mini camps they did for Team USA and every real thing I saw him do, he was pretty good. His shooting was terrible. Like, that was a joke, and that he's actually. Let me see how he's doing. Actually,
this is giving me hope in the Cam Collins recruitment.
2 for 5 from 3, so not a real volume guy. But that's all right. I mean, he's defending well. He's rebounding well.
40%. 40% 3-point shooter. Look at that.
Good math. But I mean, I think he's pretty good. I know that UNC's also without Seth Trimble, who got injured. So they also are going to have some injury issues to figure out. Being down a starter is always tough, as we know, especially starting guard. So we'll see. I think Gonzaga after that's going to be tough too. I think they're up to like 2 on KenPom. But I saw they had an injury. I won't recall who it was. Just got announced today.
If I'm choosing,
those would be a big test.
Yeah, because if you win those games, then the other 2, I don't want to say they don't matter, because the Louisville game will always kind of matter. But all of a sudden, you're feeling pretty good about this team. You're feeling like we're back. But if you lose those, it's going to be like, anyone with a pulse is going to beat this Kentucky team, and then we'll just see how things shake out in SEC play.
I also don't think that's necessarily a fair narrative. It's even if we lose those, which obviously I hope we don't. I would certainly feel much better about this team if we win those. But it's not like I think to some extent it depends how you play. Like this game and Louisville game weren't inspiring. But Houston lost several games early last year and had a fine season and was a very good team. It's not like you can sit there and say, we stacked up 5 losses early, we must be ass.
True. I mean, even the Tyler Hero team, when they got just completely blasted by Duke, they took some ugly losses. I think they also lost to Seton Hall. They're still an Elite 8 team, so it's hard to judge, to build entire narratives for how this season's going to go in the first 5. Champions Classics never treated us right.
By November 30 last year, Houston had lost 3 games.
Oh, okay. Forgot about that.
We're on pace.
We don't need to talk about who those games were or how close they were, but by November 30, they'd lost 3 games.
I think they lost to San Diego State in there, right?
Yep. Who's worse than any team we've lost to?
See, look at us.
Doesn't matter that it was by 3 points in overtime, nor that the other 2 were Alabama and Auburn, both of whom were very good, and both of those games were very close. But 3 games by November 30.
I will ignore. It does not fit my narrative.
Yep. Nailed it.
We can go to the chat if you guys have anything while I sort through it.
Peanut Butter Posse earlier said something about wanting to see, I think, was it Jelly at the 4 and Cam at the 5? Yep. I want to see that too. I want to see that Friday again in the bye game. Just let's see what Cam can do as a 5. Why not?
I think I'd rather see those reversed, maybe. Yelly at the 5, Cam at the 4. But no.
I want to see Cam at the 3, Mo at the 4, Yelovich at the 5. I think Moreno's been great. I think Moreno, especially compared to BG, is like night and day. There's an obvious answer here, and it isn't the one that's currently starting. But I'd also like to see, sort of like Peanut Butter Posse said, just play around. Try some small ball. Let's see how it looks with. I know I've said a couple times on here, put Mo at the 5 like he played with Alabama a little bit, with Grant Nelson at the 4. That can be Yelovich. Let's give it a shot. We got these 2 games against Ken Palm 300 plus teams. Let that be your data collection. Let that be your opportunity to see what the team runs like with these guys out there.
Experiment. It is college basketball. It's the time.
Time to experiment. I've always said that. One thing they didn't experiment with yesterday, from all the lineups they had yesterday, I don't think a single one featured neither BG nor Moreno.
Correct.
Put Jelly at the 5. I guess tomorrow or Friday they can, but it wasn't working last night. If you're trying all these things, try ones without either of them on the court and just see what happens.
I do think having Evan Jelly at the 5, the spacing that could give someone like an Otega Owe, who benefited a lot from the spacing of playing with Kobe Brea and Jackson Robinson, that could do wonders for him. I'm not sure if Otega is like he's supposed to be our number 1 guy going into it, but when teams are focused in on he's supposed to be their best player, I'm not sure that he has it in him, at least right now, to carry the team without having to account for these shooters on the outside.
I also just want him to think more. If they're going to key in on Otega as our best player and they're going to put 3 guys in the paint right in front of him every time he drives the ball, that means 2 guys are open. And 3 if Mo's on the wing too, because they're not guarding him at this point. But get in there, draw a triple team, and pass the ball out. Yeah. I was screaming at the TV last night several times. He's there. They've got 3 guys in front of him, just totally clogged up, not going anywhere. It doesn't matter how strong you are, how agile you are. You're not getting through 3 big guys right in front of you. Throw the ball out. Even if get it to Denzel, let him whip it around. Do something. Don't kind of toss the floater up.
I think it's fair to say that Otega is not our best player. I think Colin Chandler is our best player.
So far, absolutely.
You can make an argument for Aberdeen, but Aberdeen also he makes plays that kind of takes you out of the game. We cut it to, I think 10. I think we had it at 12 last night, and he took just the worst 3, pull-up 3 I've ever seen, and it just bricks. And it's just we didn't wait to get a shot off at all, and that it was over after that, because then they just went on the other end and scored.
I distinctly remember that shot because it was one of the only ones that wasn't an air ball. That's usually it's an air ball. That was a hard brick.
I don't know. I don't think that's the right time to be heat checking. I hope that's not how this offense is supposed to be run. I know that Pope took a lot of 3s at BYU, but hey, that was BYU. You don't need to do that at Kentucky, especially when you have the better roster. You don't have to do weird gimmicky stuff. You can just play basketball and just trust that your team's better than the other team, and they'll figure it out. But we're heat checking to try to cut the lead to 9. Just tough, lack of patience. Feels like coaching, and I hate saying that.
My Owe long 2 counter, by the way, speaking of Owe driving into 3 guys taking a terrible floater, he's up to 2 for 13 on the season, 15% from a long 2. Close to 15 for 21 for 71%. Take a better shot. I mean, that's not even analytics. That's just knowing where you're good and where you're not.
It's the Patrick Ewing coach meme where he's like, "Is that your shot? Have you ever practiced that shot?" That's okay.
Step back, one-legged.
Yeah.
Peanut Butter Posse says, I accidentally clicked the wrong chat. Owe was good last year because we had shooters and he usually got 1v1. I think that's why I think we should go Jelly at the 5. Space them all out. Create more driving opportunities. Minty Hunter, I don't know how they spent the whole summer on defense and we're still terrible at it. Yeah. Defense wasn't that great last year either. We had bright spots with Lamont and a lot of smoke and mirrors. Should be better.
It seems like last year we had a lot of just guys that physically maybe weren't capable of defending at an SEC level. And this year with the portal, the whole idea was to go get those kind of guys. And now it just seems like a scheme and effort thing that, like, we're just 10 feet off of dudes around the perimeter. Michigan State's a bad 3-point shooting team, allegedly, and they looked like Steph Curry yesterday because most of their shots were wide open and poorly defended. I just don't get that disconnect between talent and execution.
Well, it's tough too because at some point in the middle of the game, or not middle, early on, Michigan State's 5 for 5 or something. And somebody says, should we just leave them open or should we start defending these? And responses were 50-50. Half the people are like, let them shoot. They're terrible. And it's like, well, then what do you do? And this is, to some extent, we dealt with this last year. I mean, remember, Pope had a big press conference when our defense was bad initially. And he said, I don't know what to do because the numbers are lying to me. They tell me that all these are bad shooting teams. And when other teams leave them open, they miss. And when we leave them open, because that's our intention, they're hitting them all of a sudden. And that kind of spurred some of our... I mean, we eventually improved. We weren't phenomenal, but especially post Ole Miss, like our ass got kicked. We got into gear and we did something. So I hope that we're able to do that this year. And I think, like I said earlier, the season is very young. We are 5 games into this, and it sucks that 2 of those were games against good teams, one of which was our rival, which makes that hurt worse. But still, we're 5 games into a 31-game regular season. There is so much time to fix some of these things. Do we fix all of them? Maybe not. Are we going to be great? Maybe not, which is going to be a bummer because my expectations were sky high. But the people giving up on the team already are crazy.
So I've seen so much 2026, 2027 talk already, 2028 talk even. I'm like, let's get into the next calendar year first.
I saw Mark Pope buyout talk.
Yeah, with hard numbers. That was insane.
That is insane, especially Mark Pope buyout talk and then being like, let's go get Nate Oates. Like, we didn't just do this a year and a half ago. And
make Billy Donovan say no. Make Dan Hurley say no.
Yeah.
First call has to be Brad Stevens, as far as I'm concerned.
Brad Stevens, Billy Donovan,
Dan Hurley. Popovich he's not coaching right now. We could get him, bring him down to Lex.
Somebody was cussing our administration for not letting us bring on Bruce Pearl. And it's funny, I look to see how his team is doing this season, and I can't find much. There's some guy named Steven.
That would have been horrible if Pearl just came in for a year and then we're stuck with Steve.
Yeah, what a shit show.
Imagine that fan backlash. It'd be Someone would die.
People are genuinely, and they may be in the chat, but these people definitely exist who will look you in the eye and say, no, I want Rick Pitino right now.
As GM though, he needs to stop coaching and come babysit for Mark Pope.
I can see that. That'd be fun. I can handle a loss if they played to win. Didn't see that last night. This calls for an old school attitude adjustment. I can see that.
Hashtag running bleachers.
Yeah, I can see that. Some guy named Lando says it's pretty much like the Big Three situation in 2023. The defense was going to be horrible no matter what you do. We should have just played Big Z. It's not exactly apple to apples, but Lando, you shouldn't be using this language on the internet. But Frick, just throw Yelovich at the 5 and see what happens. It can't get much worse. Lando, I consider you a dear friend. We can't be making rash. I mean, I agree with you to put Yelly at the 5 for sure, but I mean, we're 5 games in, and we're gonna get JQ. So
I also want to see. I want to see more Moreno. I mean, he has shortcomings too, but in equal minutes last night. Where's this? Equal minutes last night. He had 9 points to BG's 2. 2 fewer fouls, but 2 more turnovers. I'd like to see Moreno get some run. I'd like to. I mean, let him start. I also think. What?
Sorry. Peanut Butter Posse just hit us with the ultimate white pill.
Go for it.
Didn't Duke lose their first 2 tests last year? I know they didn't get waxed, but still. Thank you. That will get me through to January. That's all I need to hear. Duke won it all, right?
They actually lost two of their first 3. They did beat an Arizona team in there, but yeah, I mean you can lose early and the season not be over. Neither of theirs were losses like these either, but that's it's. You can't sit there when we win big and say it doesn't matter, a win's a win. I'm just going to count it as a W. We didn't play anybody. You can't do that and then also whine about losing by 20. Either a win's a win and a loss is a loss, or how you win or lose matters.
You're forgetting that this is Kentucky and we don't do big losses.
Oh boy.
Peanut Butter Posse also said, I know they didn't get waxed, but still. And then Lando says, didn't they get their skull punched in those 2 games? They didn't, but that was, to be fair, Peanut Butter Posse got out of you in front of that one.
Somewhat unrelated, my favorite interaction talking about the overreaction today was somebody said something about last year's team, and Raph said, we set a record for most top 25 wins ever. And they said, this isn't moral victory, as if those weren't all actual victories.
The narrative, there's bigger Kentucky outlets, much bigger than us, who are now saying whether the Mark Pope stuff works out or it doesn't, which is insane because they're also saying this last year while we broke the record for most top 25 wins and we got to a Sweet 16 with a very hampered roster. So the fact that we get out to a slow start this year says nothing to me about whether Mark Pope will succeed or not here. I think writing him off based on 2 games early in the year is insane, or having genuine discussions saying okay, we all agree here that he needs to be fired. Real who's with me energy.
It was way more people than I expected too. It was dozens of people I saw actually legitimately thinking about, we got to move on already.
Someone, they were online, they were comparing him to old Kenny at Louisville.
Ridiculous.
Yeah, insane.
He's Billy Gillespie. Come on.
All right, fellas. So it's kind of I don't know how much more I have on last night's game. It was just really depressing. There's not even any bright spots. It was just we got clowned on. Maybe we never play in Madison Square Garden again.
I think that's reasonable.
This
I'll say-
isn't. Neither of these losses are worse than the Clemson loss. I don't know. The Clemson loss is close, but it's not nearly as
But,
bad.
well,
as the Ohio State
so
loss.
right, yeah, different premier event on TV, but this is the much better Madison Square Garden loss. It's a much better team. It's earlier in the season. We looked awful in both. I mean, there are not many bright spots of that either. But I'll take a Hall of Fame coach with a good team that finally hit their shooting stride instead of a not very good Ohio State team.
Peanut Butter Posse. I hate to say it, but we only have one championship in 28 years. Are we unwittingly turning into Indiana? Indiana hasn't been in the national conversation since the year of our Lord 2013. We are in the national conversation nearly every year. We have had 2 bad losses to start the year, and that's the story of college basketball right now. So I wouldn't say that we're Indiana, because if Indiana had lost 2 games like this to start the year, world keeps on spinning. Nobody's talking about it. So no, I don't think we're Indiana.
Indiana would love to have had our previous 15 years or whatever it is.
Yeah.
That they would die for that.
And then Lando says, Oates first call. Sorry, Ben. Nate Oates would crawl to Lexington, buddy.
That's what I've heard.
We can't fire Pope. We'd have to rebrand the whole podcast. Yeah, we'd keep it. Screw it.
There's no good puns popping off with oats that I can think of. Quaker oats, I can't really think of anything with that. Oatmeal, no. We got to stick with Pope just for the puns.
I'm making T-shirts with a goat with a Pope hat on. Easy.
Yeah, but Posse, all the other Blue Bloods have been to the Final Four in the past 5 years. It's been 11 for us.
Indiana made a Final Four?
No, he said Blue Bloods.
Yeah.
Oh, my bad. Oops.
And I guess, yeah, UCLA did have that one very fluky Final Four in 2021? So, yeah. I'm just saying, like, sure, all of that, but would you rather have, like, the past decade of Kentucky basketball or UCLA basketball?
Right, easy.
Also, technically, we would have made the Final Four if not for COVID. So you could put that banner in up now. That team was destined for the Final Four.
I think that team's a first-round loss. First round.
Emmanuel Quickly team?
No doubt in my mind. That's a first-round loss for that team. People forget Ashton Hagans was basically kicked off the team. Also, what happened not the following year, but the years after that, when we had teams that were equally as hyped going in? St. Peter's, baby. Like, I think that year would have been the start of that trend. First round loss.
We'll never know.
No.
We'll never know.
Peanut Butter Posse, you know, I like Peanut Butter Posse. People have asked me, I don't know if Peanut Butter Posse is part of the same Discord communities as us, but people will ask, they'll say, hey, who's your favorite chatter on the Catican? And people will say, like, oh, is it Otis? No. I say, and you guys can attest this, I say Peanut Butter Posse is my favorite.
And we do love Otis, by the way. This is not a shot at Otis.
It's 1 and 1A. Otis it just happens to be my 1A. I'm a Peanut Butter Posse guy. By the way, I've never but he says and he's batting 500 in the chat. There's some of the things he said in there I cannot put on screen, but
which is a very, very good batting average.
Hall of Fame.
He is getting a little depressing for me because we're getting very meta in the conversation of all but UCLA have won a chip since we made the Final Four. Yeah, it's a tough stretch. It is. Yeah. Lando says, really? Well, Lando hasn't been in the chat. It was Lando.
He cussed earlier.
Yeah. Nubu Goofin. I 100% agree. That's a first round loss. Lost to a terrible Tennessee team and scraped by a bad Florida team. There you go. Ball knowers united.
What if Dante Allen got hot though? Then what?
Checkmate.
As if Cal would have played Dante Allen. That guy was stuck
By
in the
choice,
doghouse.
yeah.
Yeah. I've been watching for a few decades. Losses are not good, but conference play is where we need to shine. That's where we climb. Last 2 games is a reality check. A good time to have a reality check, I guess, if you're gonna have one. Minty Hunter says, "Is Braden gonna come back on the show?" No, Braden. We're cool with Braden. Braden has decided to leave the show. It's all good. No drama there. We wish Braden the best. But yeah, Braden, I'm sure will be popping up in other places. You know, that guy stays busy. But yeah, that's that.
Caleb likely will be back on the show. Wishing
Yeah.
him a speedy recovery.
Yep. But yeah, if there's anything else you guys want to cover before we head out of here.
Who do we play Friday?
Who's first? Loyola, Maryland.
Which one? Okay. R.I.P. to Sister
Jean.
Yeah, R.I.P. Sister Jean. Other Loyola, but still.
Yeah, who is not this Loyola? If of the, let's see, if you search KenPom for Loyola Marymount first, 107, Loyola Chicago second, 174. This is Loyola Maryland at 297. So
the top 3
so
Loyola.
real yeah, top 3 Loyola in the country. Real data gathering opportunity. So try it. Let's play with the lineup. This is the time to do it. This is the only possible good thing about playing teams this ranked in this part of the field.
I want to see, I don't know, a lot of minutes of Jasper running the point. Just force it. Try to see if he can get comfortable doing it, because we almost certainly will need him to give real backup minutes down the road.
I agree.
Right. Agree.
All right. I think I'm about done. What about you guys?
Yep.
All right. Everybody, thank you for joining the Catican. For Ben, for Raf, I'm Jared. Go Cats.
Go Cats.